In this video, I'm going to show you how to disassemble a Nintendo 64 so we can get this pin connector out, clean it. I've seen other videos on YouTube. They didn't quite go over pulling the pin connector off, cleaning underneath it, so I want to go through that part. The first thing you're going to need is your 4.5 millimeter, security bit remover. It'll look like this. The screws do, and I got this on eBay. I really suggest you get the silver colored hardened steel ones and not the carbon steel. I've thrown so many of them away. You're going to go through, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 you're going to remove. You can buy them like this, where you just put them onto the end of a screwdriver, or they actually sell them as a nut driver basically. So I've already got one I took apart. Got the screws out already. Once you've got your screws out, these actually pop out of there. You set those aside. Okay. Now, you'll also have to pull the jumper pack or the expansion pack, whichever you have, from here. Obviously the slot that covers it. Once you've got that done, and the security screws off the bottom, the top should come right off. One of the tools you want, some compressed air. You can just blow out any dust from there. Some guys take this apart, get down and really clean it out well. At this point is where, if you have sticky buttons, you can actually just squeeze them in and they will pop right out, just like that. And then you can clean around the edges, clean in here, helps prevent sticking. I'm going to do that later. I want to focus on the board itself. As you can see in here, this one's really dusty and dirty. I'll just it's going to have to be wiped out, but alright. Now, some of these screws are all different sizes. The way I like to do this, I'll turn it around. It makes it easier for you guys. I like to start towards the bottom and work up, or the top and work down. In this instance, I'm going to start near me, which is the top. This screw and this screw are normally pretty long in comparison to the others, so I like to keep them up at the top, kind of correspond where they're from. At that point, we're just going to do the insides. Now, there are two different variations I've come across doing these. There's this one that has all these screws holding this in, and there's one version that only has 2 screws holding this plate in. I don't know why they did that. Maybe they were cutting costs, or they realized that this was kind of overkill. I like to keep a magnet handy. Helps me get these out of here quicker and keep track of them. Alright, now those are out. We want to keep those separate from the others. We'll take this one and then this one. And what I normally do if I'm jumping into a project like this first, if I'm not used to the screw pattern and everything, since these are multicolored, and take a picture with your smartphone or camera beforehand of it open with all the screws in it, and that'll kind of give you a reference later if you're confused or you've misplaced something or don't know where it goes. You can also film yourself like I'm doing now, just to give you kind of steps on the way back. Now, these two need a little bit of a smaller bit, and they're long, so we'll set them there, keep kind of working down the chain. Alright, now we just have these outer 5. Okay, should be done with the screwdriver, and just for a little easier access we can pull that out now. I like to keep a toothbrush handy. You can also use just an old rag, you know, clean up in there. Cleaning solutions, you know, there's so many people have different ideas on what kind of solution they want to use and what ones they think are the best. Rubbing alcohol people use a window cleaner. Obviously you don't want to use a water mix. I personally just use 91% alcohol. It's always worked pretty well for me. Obviously if you use it on the plastic, it's going to kind of turn it a white mucky color. If you want the plastic on the outer casing to shine, you can use Pledge. Some people say WD-40. It's really up to the user what you want to use. Now, the next step here, we're going to want to take this piece, we're going to kind of pry it up, and there are a few separate pieces to this. There should be 3 separate pieces, so we want to keep those together. Alright, now sometimes this piece will be stuck down a little, especially if you've had a little liquid or pops get spilled. Alright, that's out. Now, this is where the last video got to, and they actually pulled the whole board out. I'm not going to go that far. I don't think I need to do anything past here, just because I don't care if there's a feather or anything underneath, you know, this board. That's what it was in the other video I watched. There was a feather underneath their board. You can also clean out these ports here if you're having trouble with the connectivity of a controller. Just like a little Q-tip with a little alcohol or window cleaner, whatever you want to use, just, you know, run it into these ports. You can also take some air duster and blow through, you know, these ports in here, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright. Now, what I wanted to show is this. A lot of times, this is what will get dirty here. And I don't have a cleaning kit, but what you can do is use an old credit card or laundry card and say a bandana or a piece of cloth, something that's not going to catch a lot. And I'm just going to take my rubbing alcohol solution here, you know, wet the cloth, and basically just run it in and out of there. And that'll help clean those contact points, just like that. Now here's the part that no video I've watched so far has shown. If you just pull up on this, there it goes. You see the prongs there? Now this will have a number with an arrow on the front. That can only go back in there one way. It won't work if it's backwards, so just remember the arrow to the front. Now you can kind of see, this one's not too bad. I'll hold it up there. You can kind of see the buildup of stuff right here. It's kind of nasty. What I do, again, I just use the rubbing alcohol. I put it directly on my board. This board hasn't had power for a while, so I don't think there's anything in the capacitors. And I'll take my toothbrush. I just get through here, clean this. Anyway, I'll get that cleaned up better. The other thing I like to do is, you know, with my toothbrush still with the rubbing alcohol on it, clean these contact pins down here. Don't bend them. You want them to be straight so you can get them back in. I'll also take my little, you know, dropper here, and I'll run some of this down here, just if it didn't get any, you know, whatever I missed. And then before I put it all back together, I'll take my compressed air again, blow through the bottom of this. Yeah, it's an awful noise. And then, you know, make sure it's good and dry, make sure the board's good and dry, put it back into place. It's really easy how it goes back in. There, it's down in there. Put it back together, you know, and then you're done. I'm not going to assemble it. If you need to know how to assemble it, watch the video in reverse. That's my video. Hope you enjoyed it.